See, very different. Alright. Now, the Global League, End of Entropy, Tier 2. I picked Sami because Sami is pretty strong on mixed bases. You don't really need transports on this map because mechs are very close to the front line, bases are very close to the front line. And my opponent picked Olaf. Don't know why. Sometimes I forget that Sami is tier 2 in standard. So maybe my opponent simply forgot Sami was a thing. Probably... Actually, I don't know. I'm not going to theorize on something I don't know. So for my first turn, let's have greener facing the left, so we're facing opposite directions. So I go for turn 1 property captures, that's obvious. Now, what to do with these penguins here? I think I wanted to control this property and then I could shift left to control this point, these 3 properties here. That's quite a lot of properties. And for my other penguin, I give myself the possibility to capture either of these 2. Not that I'm afraid of losing them because I'm Sami, but give myself options. If I'm going to capture this, I get it anyway, but I also got the choice to capture the one further away, which for most CEOs is the better choice since you don't risk having it contested by an infantry shooting at you from a mountain. My opponent Olaf chose to also do the same thing for the most part. And not really sure which properties to go for when we're going down here. I don't exactly want to fight down here, but it is very close to my base and it's very tempting. So I go for this one because it's the same turn from the base, but it's further away where I can press forward if I wanted to, maybe. I choose to go down for these properties because I'm Sami. I'm supposed to try to pressure the captures anyway to get ahead in the capture game. And if I don't win early, then I will eventually get outscaled by Olaf. So my plan is win right now, get the capture game, and win as soon as possible. The infantries are about to meet, so I go for my comm tower. Also, not that there's much else I can capture. Perhaps I could have delayed the comm tower capture by one more turn since there still isn't any tanks. Maybe I could have sent it down and then continue trying to control this area. That was something I definitely could have done. Too late. I went for my comm tower. My opponent does the same. I built an artillery because artillery does take time to get into play, so I like to build it first and then respond to my opponent's tank for tank. So if I'm playing, I shouldn't be playing defensively, but if I'm playing defensively, it will be as if I have an extra artillery, whereas we have equal amount of tanks, if my opponent is extending onto my side. So that's why I typically like going artillery first. Not sure if it applies in mixed base though. But still, I'm playing as Sami, so I'm confident that I can win this. I start getting mechs. Better get them now than later, so they have time to reach the front lines. As much as I don't want to build tanks, I do recognize the need to control space with them, and mechs just aren't fast to control space that quickly. Alright, shoots at my penguin. while I'm being denied this property, I can get nice shots on their infantry, and so I'm not too upset that I'm not getting this. I can interrupt their properties as well. I don't want to deal with that anti-air, so I send my penguins elsewhere. Alright, I decide to pick off the infantry on the mountain because it puts me in a position such that I'm a little closer to my mech even though it doesn't get covered. But I don't want to be too far away from my base. And I built the tank simply because my mech is still spending time to reach the front line. Alright, interrupts my cap here. Needs to use 2 infantry because 1 infantry is not enough to interrupt it. I wanted to get a tank up here to protect this, my infantry here. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford it. Hang on, am I muted? Hello? No, I'm not muted. It's just a little delay from the stream. For a moment I thought my bouncing Puyo guy wasn't bouncing. Okay. So I couldn't afford a tank up here. I chose to get a tank here instead. And I also need something to respond to this anti-air. So I think that's why I built another tank. I put a tank in front of my mech. But looking at it again, we see that 2 tanks can wall break this tank and then this infantry can hit my mech. So that wasn't exactly the best play by me. I poke at infantry because why not? I got more units coming in from the bottom. Kill off that infantry. So, yeah, just kill it. My artillery is a little open, but I don't really care too much about my artillery being open because my plan is simply pressure as many properties as possible. My units are cheaper in the sense that I can build mechs, so I'm fine with having opened and undefended artillery. But I need an anti-air to deal with that battlecopter. Alright, anti-air here, I have to move my battlecopter somewhere else. So, I move it to the right. Maybe I can support the top side. As long as it's away from the anti-air, then it will force my opponent to build a second anti-air. And being forced to build a second anti-air is not fun. I get this property. I'm Sami. I can just take it. I attack that recon. I begin capturing it right in front of its face. Like, what is it gonna do? There's no way to interrupt this capture because I'm Sami. And I get an anti-air of my own because I definitely do not want the battlecopter going up and controlling this area. Battlecopter shoots at a penguin, and my opponent begins capturing my airport and my 2 properties. Now, I'm not too concerned about these 2 just yet, because they're only 6 HP. And because they're 6 HP, they're just gonna take a long time to capture it. So I'm perfectly fine with them capturing it. So I have my normal power. I considered using it, but I realized 1 extra movement isn't exactly enough to get any hits at the moment. So I chose not to use it. There's a second anti-air. I get a first strike, Now, I do have a comm tower, so my tanks are normal tanks, and his tanks are at 110. But I support my tank with an extra mech for that. I kill off the recon, continue moving my mech up, and I think, okay, if the tank is going to shoot at my anti-air, my artillery will wall break the anti-air, well, the tank, to reach the battlecopter, in case the battlecopter chooses to attack my artillery as well. I'm thinking of all these things of making trades. So long as I trade down their units, I get to stay in control of these properties. Alright, continues capturing my airport and my property here. I'm fine with that still, because it's not, I still got 2 more turns to deal with it. And this is actually kind of surprising for me, sending anti-air against my tank anyway, which, well, it makes sense if you're going for the Winter Fury. So now my tank can't reinforce this penguin, and you made it harder for me to interrupt these captures. I considered the possibility of my opponent canceling this capture, joining it to get the airport, but that didn't happen, so I don't have to do anything about it. Pain. Okay. As much as I wanted to preserve these penguins for the victory march, that's coming very soon, they're not going to survive. I mean, one HP penguins, I don't have enough vehicles to actually adequately defend them. So I kind of just put them there. Maybe my opponent would take shots at them and not hit my vehicles. Other than that, I don't really know how else to save them. So I'll just leave them here. Hopefully my opponent doesn't shoot at them and they come back for the victory march next turn. And I also do a little thing, a little sneaky. I threaten to capture both the labs with the victory march. My penguin can reach it with the extra +2 movement, and if you notice, there are no HQs. So no HQs mean that if you lose all your labs, you lose. So if I capture these labs, I instantly win. So I'm just thinking of ways I could possibly capture it. Ultimately, I couldn't find a way, not with this wall over here. So I just decided to press what Sami is known for by taking properties and pressuring with more income. So I victory march, and now I plan to take as many properties as possible. Look at that movement of the mech. They go really far. Unfortunately, the anti-air doesn't get the +2 movement. But, you know, penguin getting +2 movements are already strong enough. Capture their property, capture their property. Don't go for the neutral one, go for their property. Capture their property again. Kill off this tank because this penguin can't capture anything. Kill off that tank. Kill off that infantry. Take their property again. And redirect my anti-air to be a little closer to their airports and also blocks them from trying to capture this property. So now I have a ridiculous income advantage. This anti-air is out of position and not in range to attack my airport. So I considered building a bomber. I really did. But I would have to triple base skip, so I chose not to and just went with battlecopter, tank, 2 mechs, and an infantry. Alright, I lose a battlecopter, but that's fine. Olaf battlecopters are typically stronger than Sami battlecopters, especially when the snow comes. The recon is protected by the infantry, so my mech can't reach it, and there's nothing I can do to dislodge this infantry and attack the recon with my mech. But I still want that bomber. So I now have the income advantage, a huge income advantage. I wall off my airport so that anti-air can't do anything, and I built a bomber. Because I wanted a bomber, so I get bomber. I also continue picking off units that I can pick off. Threaten to capture this property. Just put some pressure on the base. I mean, I have a bomber and 3 tanks here. Maybe I can shift them over to add more pressure. This battlecopter will eventually be zoned out by my anti-air or my battlecopter. This tank can't do it, can't reach my anti-air next turn. And I can't quite deal with that medium tank right now, so I just run away. What's the medium tank gonna do? Chase? It's not going to catch up. Medium tank chases anyway, gets a shot on the mech, and they resign, which I don't blame them. It's pretty hard to come back with this income deficit. I also have another game where I have a very similar income deficit in a Sami versus Eagle game, which I plan to show because that game is amazing. It's still ongoing, so it'll probably come out next week or something. But that was this game.